everybody. It's been a while. I'm Christina, and welcome back. I wanted to try something new since it's 2025. Why not? I decided to do a remote viewing session on predictions for the year 2025. Why did I decide to do this? Because this year is going to be epic. There's a lot of change coming, and I was curious to see if I could figure out what that change would be. Now, remote viewing is something that the CIA uses to access psychic information and spy on other people, countries, etc. It's a very structured way of accessing psychic information. So what I did is I plugged in a date, I projected out into the future based on a future date, and gathered as much data information as I could. Now, I am not I first of all, let's start over. I am politically independent. I don't like politicians. I think politics is dirty business. It's very dark. Surprisingly, what I was shown was very political, and it had to do a lot. How do I put this nicely? There was a lot of change courtesy of the incoming administration. So buckle up. Just because things are changing, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. There's a lot of good things coming as well, but there is a lot of change. And what I want you to take away from this is that if this change is causing anxiety or nervous system issues, please reach out for help, seek support, learn ways to ground, learn ways to handle your emotions in a healthy way. Emotions aren't necessarily unhealthy. It's how we deal with them and process them that can be the problem. Okay, before we get started, I have a business, Big Beautiful Sky. It's amazing. Check it out. I do astrology. I do subconscious reprogramming, which is really soul and spirit healing. It's very deep. I am here to help you. I love working with people who are starting businesses or who need help getting their business or their life to the next level. So my site is bigbeautifulsky.com. Check me out there. All right, let's dive in. So I conducted this remote viewing session on the 29th of December, 2024 at 10:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Australia. So what I wanted to find out, I'm a citizen of Australia and the United States. I wanted to find out what's happening with Australia and the US. The majority of the information coming in was all about the US. I projected out to the 29th of December, 2025 at 10:29 p.m. Okay, so the first things I saw was there's a lot of, and not surprising considering what happened at the beginning of 2025, there was a lot of natural disaster, a lot of destruction. Because there's a new cycle coming in, a lot of old things have to be destroyed. And so that's creating a lot of volatility in the natural world. So seeing things like fires, like famine, heightened climate issues is going to be a theme for 2025 because it's part of the destruction process. As things are destroyed, the new is created. I mean, there's a whole new system coming in. So it will be volatile. If you live somewhere that is affected by hurricanes or fires or floods, please be careful. I didn't see war necessarily. I did see fighting in certain areas, but none of this World War III, fear mongering. I didn't see World War III or any indications that there would be a World War III. I did see that the US economy does get, I'm not saying it's going to be all good, but it does start to get a boost. Again, it's very volatile, but things are starting to change. And I didn't project out until 2030, but 2025 and 2026, I'm optimistic. Australia, however, the economy in Australia is flat. It is stagnant. It is not going anywhere. There's no innovation. There's, you know, everything, all the factories, all the manufacturing has moved to China or overseas. It has been deindustrialized. So the Australian economy is not strong, and I saw no indication of this changing. Whereas the US economy is still dynamic. I mean, there's a lot of problems with it, but there's hope. What I did see is that with the Trump administration coming in, there is a whole new system of government coming in as well. It's almost like what I was seeing is the system's already there. It's already built. It's already ready to go. I didn't see, when Elon Musk says he has to create Doge to work through what should and shouldn't be cut. Sure, I felt like I could see that that was more theater than reality. Yes, they'll cut lots of things. Things are going to be cut, but they already know what they're going to cut. This is already planned. The system is ready to go. It's all mapped out. And what I did see very clearly is that, people are going to be replaced by technology, by AI. Everything is going to be tracked and traced. Privacy will no longer exist. We thought we didn't have privacy, but now we have absolutely no privacy. There's going to be layoffs, lots of layoffs. Entire government departments are closed. People are laid off. 220,000 to 300,000 people per year, but we're not going to be told the real numbers. So they're going to lie and just say, oh, 100,000 people here or there, or the people that work from home. There's going to be a lot of manipulation around who is actually getting laid off and who isn't. This is going to be combined with layoffs from the private sector because of technology and AI coming in. Now, again, I did this on the 30th of December of 2024. This timeline was good in some ways, but horrible in others. So, like all things, when you project out into the future, things could change. Anything could change between here and now. And I'm hoping that as I make you aware of this, things change. That's my goal and intention, is that we change this timeline to be something that works better for us. Because right now, there's just too much power concentrated in the hands of a few. I did see that the people that get laid off are given, a severance package, maybe for a couple years, not for very long. There's no UBI yet. There's a severance package. I did see that school funding is slashed. I did see that certain states sort of have to close a lot of schools. Online learning becomes a thing for kids. There are also, funding for colleges is also slashed. So that gets moved online. So there's a lot of education that's going to get moved online. I don't think that's a good thing. I think kids need to go to school. I think our education needs to be overhauled, but I think the social aspects of school are still very important. I think wealthy children will probably still go to school. From what I could see, there'll still be private schools, but for kids and communities who don't have the funding, there may not be. The only option might be online. I did see healthcare. Again, I'm reading notes I took. I'll tell you this because whenever you do, or whenever I do, or anyone does a remote viewing session, a lot of times the data and the information, you don't remember it. The info comes in through a part of your mind that doesn't retain that information, like, say, a memory is retained. It's just, it comes in, the message is there. And a lot of times I have to write it down or I do a voice memo to retain the information or else it's gone. So, I did see, surprisingly, and again, I didn't expect to see all this political stuff, but that's what came through. It was very strong. Healthcare becomes more affordable due to these instant diagnostic machines. So what's happening is, it's not just the health insurance companies that are charging too much or not covering or et cetera, et cetera. It's the fact that doctors and hospitals are charging outrageous amounts of money for procedures that do not cost the same in other countries. So the health insurance companies are going to get clever and they're going to start getting rid of doctors. So they're going to have these instant diagnostic machines. It looks like an MRI. Like I was seeing, you'd step into it, there'd be a scan, there'd be blood work taken, you would give your symptoms to the AI, and it would process all the information a lot faster than a GP and be able to give you the diagnosis and then prescribe you whatever you needed to be prescribed. So it takes less time and it costs a lot less. So I'm not saying GPs are going to be eradicated. They'll still exist. They might be overseeing the diagnostics of these machines. They will also, again, for the wealthier folks, there will be the option of seeing a person in real life. So they'll still be working for wealthier folks, but there's this, what I could see was this healthcare bottleneck and all these doctors just charging way too much and making things extremely complicated, and then insurance making things complicated. So that's going to get innovated. And again, it's not going to be doctors who are innovating this. It's going to be tech guys. So tech companies are going to come in with these machines and start streamlining healthcare. I got like a 30-minute, like it takes like 30 minutes maybe for everything to be processed and your diagnosis to be arrived upon. So I did also see a lot more robotic surgery. So when you come in for a surgery, there's robots working on the surgery. There is a surgeon there, or there are people there operating the machines, but that's going to start to get automated as well, um, which is good and bad. I'm not sure. I'm pretty neutral on that. I did see that manufacturing comes back to the US and that it does create more job opportunities, which is wonderful. Um, the thing I kept seeing as well is that these tech guys that are, operating in the background now, pretty much operating up front, tech has kind of taken over the government. Tech kind of becomes the government. It was almost like the government doesn't really exist anymore because tech has completely taken over everything. Everybody is tracked, everyone is traced, and everyone's perception is manipulated by algorithms. So people are shown certain things, certain points of view, and that really starts to shape the way they perceive reality and what they believe. So it's kind of everything's moving in this direction of no more free will choice because we're going to be so heavily manipulated. But what I did see is that the tech industry and the leaders in this industry will do anything to defeat China. They are seriously concerned about China, about their manufacturing dominance and their AI dominance. So the US does not want to lose its position as an economic superpower. And these tech guys, they're psychopaths. They want to win. So they're trying to win. And one of the things I saw back in 2020 when the whole virus thing took off was I was when I did a remote viewing session on the virus to try to figure out what was going on, I was shown very clearly in 2020 that this virus was just it was like this black energy emanating from China and spreading across the world. So the way the Chinese operate as this dual system of communism and capitalism and the crazy controls they have in place, everything and everybody is tracked and traced there. That is how these tech guys are comprehending how we should compete. They're like, okay, well, if we want to compete with China, we have to do the same thing. We have to track and trace everybody. We need to control people. We need to put the same system in place that the Chinese have so that we can compete with them. I don't think they are consciously aware that they're doing this, but unconsciously, that's what's manifesting. And it all started in 2020, which also coincided with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So that cycle is seeding this totalitarianism, which isn't great. So that's something we have to be aware of and push back. We have to push back on that because that's no, no, thank you. um, and I did see that things starting to affect China's economy, which Chinese don't like. So because these tech guys and Trump, they're so invested in competing with China, China competes right back. And so things start to get hectic. I did also see that because Australia's economy is just flatlining, I was like, all right, we'll project out from here, project down this timeline. And, Australia is just it's going to become like Hong Kong. Like it'll just become part of Asia. It'll be absorbed. It'll be like an Asian suburb. Um, People will come here to go on holiday. I don't know. I don't see anything really reinvigorating the Australian economy. It's just sort of dead. There still will be minerals, that are dug out of the ground and iron ore and all that, but the private sector and the innovation and the investment just I can't see that. I couldn't see that. But again, this could change. I did see that the US will definitely have digital currencies, not in 2025, but it's definitely heading there, maybe in 2026. I don't know if they just ditch cash and everything's just done digitally, or if there was a digital currency coming in, but it looked like cash was out pretty soon. I saw electric vehicles everywhere, like just everything is electric, good and bad. I did see that people will start to have more money, that there will be more disposable income, but it's going to have to be restructured because all, these government jobs are going and these private sector jobs are also going. So what I kept seeing is individual people having these micro businesses, so operating as sole traders or having, working as consultants, because there's not going to be these opportunities to work with these big corporations anymore. They won't employ as many people. So people are going to have to become freelancers, consultants, business owners. So you're going to have to figure out how to run your own business. And if you do figure that out, then you'll be successful, or more successful than others who are still applying for jobs, or who are hoping that UBI or the severance packages will cover the expenses. I don't see that happening. And I don't see the UBI or the severance as being longer than a year or two. I did see Social Security not being affected. Like I said, healthcare costs start to come down because they're going to roll out tech. All this tech's going to come into healthcare. People will be healthier. I did see that, and that's amazing. People are going to be healthier because there's going to be a lot more options. So there's not only going to be these, streamlined ways to get diagnosed, but also a lot more preventative healthcare. So you can sign up for these programs and people will monitor your heart rate and take your blood and, do these diagnostics on you regularly to try to help you live have a better quality of life. So that's great. I'm excited about that. So I did see that we'll be able to track and treat diseases faster and earlier, which is amazing. But yeah, it was all just 2025 and into 2026. This new system is coming in, this new way of doing business, of government, everything. I did see that, yes, the illegal immigrants are going. It's more to do with they just don't want to have too many unemployed people in these countries, right? They need to figure out how to implement this new system, and they can't have people pouring in. I I didn't really see, right, like I said, Elon wasn't really running Doge. It's kind of already figured out. It's more just implementing this new system, not exactly finding the cuts. They've already got that figured out. I did see that again, I don't know why I was showing all this political stuff. State governments get money for training, like things like community colleges and training skills that are proven to be relevant for, skills in the next 10 years. So, you know, you're not going to go to school anymore to get a degree in history necessarily, because that's not going to pay your bills unless you want to become a professor. But I just don't see those programs really being available anymore. Everything's going to shift to training, to getting people trained. And the training, it's not even going to last for that long because everything's going to it's just going to change so quickly all the time. Change, 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 change. So you're just going to have to do this continual training. So going to school for 4 years and then assuming that that's going to be it so that you can have this career for 30 years is no longer going to be the way about things. It's going to be you do some training for a couple of years, you do that job for 5 years, you go back and do some more training because that job has changed or is no longer in existence or relevant. So you're going to have to keep training, retraining, 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 which good or bad, I mean, it's just changing. I do see that the US population sort of stalls. There's not this massive increase. People are rioting about job losses and still immigration because people are convinced immigrants are stealing their jobs. And when they're losing their jobs, people feel threatened and they need someone to blame. I did see a lot of marches, protests. People are starting to wake up and realize that, you know, there's too much power concentrated, too much power and money that a few people have versus a lot of people aren't sharing. It's all about like we've got to share. We have to learn to share. The wealth gap is going to grow. People are going to get very mad. I do think that a revolution is coming. I didn't see that in the next 2 years. I think that's going to take longer and it's going to need some time to build. All I kept seeing was no more privacy. There's like this whole new tax system coming in with this new system. I did see that streets are cleaner. There's more order. There's less people. And after 2028, I was like, all right, project this out. After 2028, it did feel better. It felt less volatile. and calmer. And then I started to see weird things in 2028 about women being incentivized and encouraged to have kids and families. Um, I won't say anything else about that, but yeah, interesting. I did get that public perception, Elon's public perception, public persona is going to change. People are going to see him differently soon. But as for President Trump, because he's going to start bringing manufacturing back and he's going to start restructuring the economy and people will feel like things are better, I don't I don't see the public opinion swinging. I think he'll still remain popular. I do think that, or I did see that, if Democrats start to understand or push back that, against these wealthy people that obviously have total control over the United States, things could change. But, you know, these wealthy people have control of both parties, which is the problem, and which was very evident in the 2024 election. I mean, neither party really felt like it was representing the people. Um, so that's just something that we need to be aware of. Again, I'm politically independent. I don't know why this remote viewing session was so political, but I just think because so much change is coming, not just, and I'm an astrologer, so I can see the change coming, but I didn't really know what it was going to look like until I sat down and did the session. So I hope that's helpful. I really encourage you to, if you're employed, to look at developing a side hustle or upskilling to make sure that you remain relevant in your industry. I encourage you to even consider starting your own business, which will look like a side hustle for a while until it can get off the ground and pay your bills. Look for other ways to make money, save your money when things are volatile. Savings is great. If you do invest, do so carefully and invest in the right things. I do think it's going to be okay. There's a lot of change coming. There's a lot of volatility. It looks like a lot of, natural disaster type events. So please stay safe. Please stay aware. One of the other things I wanted to say before I wrap this up is please know that no one is coming to save you. Okay. So projecting these savior complexes onto politicians or onto anyone is not going to help you. You need to save yourself. You need to empower yourself. It does you no good to look for others to help you. It's all about, I'm not saying community is great. Definitely reach out to your community, be a part of a great community, but don't expect when people are elected for them to be your savior and make all the problems go away and then you'll live in a utopia. That's just not realistic. Please do everything you can to be healthy, to be happy, to be wealthy and abundant, but make sure you're doing that for yourself and you are empowered and you are sovereign. I think being sovereign is really important for this period going forward. So I will leave you there. If you have any questions, hit me up, leave a comment. I'm happy to have a chat. So thanks so much. Take care. And if you want to head over to bigbeautifulsky.com, I am here for all your astrology and subconscious needs.